Good evening, adventurers, and welcome back to the Maze. This is MazeCast episode number 21. I am your host, your crypt keeper, whatever you want to call me. I am the master of mazes, Carl. With me, as always, is my son, Steven,
What's
the
going on?
apprentice, and a really cool 8
Yep.
8-bit fucking background. I'm loving it. That's
Yep.
awesome. Now I feel like my backdrop screen is kind of old and busted. So uh, maybe next time you guys see us, I'll have a new background. We've got a lot to get into, especially in the TTRPG news, so let's jump right into things. What's new at the MazeCast? We had our Master and Apprentice campaign, session number 6,
hmm
was this past Saturday, the 28th. It was a really good session.
Yep.
Our party has found out that gnolls are no joke.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. That was the hardest fight we've had, like by far.
yeah, they're mean, they're vicious, and that
Rampage
rampage
is
attack they
that
got
shit
like hit
is
zero.
that is disgusting. Like you have to play
It's
around that.
disgusting.
Like you literally have to play around it.
You really do. So if you guys want to know more about that, Steven has put up a great recap from his character's perspective over
hmm
on our website. We will drop a link down in the show notes for you guys to check that out. So please do so. Leave us a comment over there. Let us know what you guys think about it. The Order of the Flagon has hit a stumbling block. As anybody who plays D&D knows, there are always going to be scheduling conflicts. And we ran into our first scheduling conflict. We were supposed to play this past Saturday, not quite a week ago, and there was some issues. One of our members had some family things that came up, so they had to leave town unexpectedly. So we got canceled like about 3 hours out from the start of the session, which sucks because I had 3 terrain builds ready and a fourth one going, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll just put that on the shelf for now. So we are trying to work out scheduling, but most of them have children, and spring activities like soccer, baseball, stuff like that are kicking
It's
off.
hard,
So
man. It's
we're
hard.
having it's hard. So we're having some scheduling difficulties. We're trying to work around. So it looks like it may be end of this month, maybe first part of April before we can get together again. But we'll keep you guys posted. Kingdom of Keshinar, our session 4 recap is up on the website right now. We will have a link in the description for you.
hmm
That one was on the Friday, the 27th. We had a great time. The party has started off 2 weeks after the previous session, and they are into some new mischief, and they got into some things. So read the recap if you want to catch up on where they're at right now. Our next session will be next Friday, the 13th. We are going to have a special guest NPC with us, one of my friends from out of town, a guy that I've known for about 22 years now that I met at Dragon Con, and we have stayed in touch. He comes to stay with us. So he will be joining in with us as a special one-shot, one-off NPC for the night. So I'm going to actually do a short video, maybe a little live cast from that session for you guys. So we'll have that up on YouTube, and we'll have some links for you in Instagram things as well. So be sure to check those things out. But let's get into our TTRPG news. I'm going to kick it over to my on the site correspondent, the apprentice. We've got some things going on and some big news. I'm sure most of you've already heard, but D&D, Hasbro, WoTC, whatever you want to call them, the Devils, they have they have announced their 2026 roadmap. So, Stephen, what's going on over there?
All kinds of stuff. Honestly, I started to read the roadmap myself and ended up kind of corresponding with Dad and also the internet to try to figure out, okay, what does all this mean? Because it's a lot of it that's kind of left up to what your interpretation of their vocabulary is, as far as
Yeah.
what it is. But short and sweet, right to the point. They're the big things that are is kind of a big shift for them is they're going into a seasonal model, which honestly for me is kind of standard. That's what video games transitioned to years
Right.
ago. Just
Yep.
because it's easier to maintain that cadence of releases. So just to start the year off, or at least to start the second quarter of the year off, they're going right into Season of Horror, followed up by
Mhm.
Season of Magic at the end of summer, and then Season of Champions, which there's not a lot of info about at the end of the
Right.
year. The big, I guess you would say, the big banners of these seasons are number one, Ravenloft is Season of Horror. That is the flagship of that whole season. There is a new book coming out called The Horrors Within. Um, I won't get too much into my opinion yet. Season of Magic is the following season. That's going to be 2 Arcana Unleashed books. One of them centers around the Red Wizards, which is pretty awesome. I love the Red Wizards. I
Yeah.
think Thay is a really cool place to
Yeah.
have stories in, have enemies come from. It's just a neat setting, neat character development stuff going on there. Now, to kind of, I guess you would call it a little backlash. Um, a lot of this content for both seasons that have been released so far, I don't want to say it's directly reprinted because it's not, but a lot of it is kind of rehashed info that we already have.
Right.
Early projections are anywhere from 50-50 to 60-40. Higher end of the 60%, a lot of it is stuff that people already know.
Right.
I would consider a lot of this like a remaster or like a kind of like a refined version of info that we have. Von Richten's
Right.
guide is like the number one thing that people kind of associate to Ravenloft. This
Mhm.
Horrors Within book is kind of that plus some more content all bundled into
Right.
one book. I don't
Right.
think that's necessarily a bad thing, but charging $60 for info that may or may not be available already is going to rub
Yeah.
people the wrong way, especially when other decisions that they've made recently are kind of not consumer friendly. But I'll let Dad
Yeah.
talk on that.
Yeah. Insight check. One of the people I follow, I subscribe to on YouTube. He had a pretty good video on it, and we'll drop a link to his video in the show notes for you. He kind of went over it, and he said his thoughts are probably going to be a 50-50 of new stuff versus kind of rebranded, refurbished, kind of remastered material, maybe up to 60-40, the 60% being refurbished, remastered material.
Mm.
That's okay, I guess. I don't mind them doing that because most of what they have released through the Unearthed Arcana and all has been online. If you put it in a book form, if you want to drop your $60 on it, more power to you. But why would I do that if I can just go online and save it as a PDF and just I've got it for free? I mean, I don't know. I like books. I like them sitting on the shelf. I like the artwork, but you
Yeah.
know, for me personally, I won't be spending the money on it. I think it's a great lead off to lead with Ravenloft if you're going to go into the season of horror.
Hmm.
The Realms of Terror was a great box set. I still have it on my shelf. I think it's a great place to start. I really would have liked them to see them do something new, but I mean, this might be the easy thing of doing it. And I would just like to point out that for 2 months online, Hasbro and WoTC have been catching a lot of static from the community that there has been no roadmap.
Hmm.
Then all of a sudden, with little to no fanfare, boom, here's a huge roadmap. We revamped the website. We got a new launching, we got a new jump off point on the website for D&D Beyond. And that's great. It's just
Hmm.
it seems like they're reacting rather than being proactive, and I don't
I would agree with
know.
that. I would agree with it's kind of it seems knee jerky, you know.
Yeah,
And I'll just go over real quick, like just this roadmap. I won't get into the partner content because there's a lot of it, and there's going to be more coming.
yeah.
But
There's a
just for
lot.
official, like D&D releases, obviously spring season of horror, end of summer season of magic, later in the year season of champions. Again, we went over the Ravenloft and the Arcana Unleashed. In that season of magic, they're releasing D&D reference cards. I personally don't know
Right.
what that is. But they
I
they
don't
have that
either.
on their roadmap, and in the articles that I read, I didn't see anything about that. And then
Yeah.
D&D Beyond is getting a few assets throughout the year, some DM prep tools, an event finder, apparently a player onboarding, some sort of helpful player onboarding mechanic on D&D Beyond, as well as what they're
Right.
calling Character Builder 2.0, which I'm
Right.
interested in. But that's not going to
Definitely.
come until probably later in the year. But I do D&D Beyond's player builder is pretty nice. If they're going to revamp that and make it easier for people to kind of make exactly what they're shooting for,
Yeah.
maybe don't hide so much of it behind paywalls, Wizards. That would be
Well,
pretty cool.
if it would be a little easier for you to download homebrew content
Yeah.
would be helpful too.
But anyway, tons of
Uh,
info there. We will include the article. I'll include pictures of the roadmap. Um, I had to parse through this thing and make kind of a guide on how to talk through this because it's a lot. But hopefully, they do say it's subject to change and there's more stuff coming. So maybe there's more that we don't know yet. But
I mean, we'll watch and see. I mean, I'm interested in anything they put out. I
yeah.
mean, not the biggest fan of WotC or Hasbro how they've treated the community in the past, but I'm a big fan of D&D. I love the community.
Hmm.
I've loved Dungeons and Dragons for longer than probably some of you watching have been alive.
Hmm.
But I'm definitely interested in what might come out.
Yeah.
But I'm selective on where I'm going to spend my money. So
Yeah.
I'm really getting into a lot of third-party content stuff right now, especially the smaller content creators. Um, I am one sticking point that's sticking in my craw, and I'm going to bring it up, and then we'll keep it short. They're now officially calling it 5.5.
I was going to
Okay,
ask you to bring that up.
for 2 years, every time somebody said, "So this is 5.5," we got shouted down by Chris Perkins and everybody else over at Hasbro and WoTC. Nope, this isn't 5.5. It's still 5. It's still 5. It's still fifth edition. It's not 5.5. It's not 6. It's fifth edition. And now officially, after 2 years of poo-pooing us and telling us no, it's not. Now officially, quote unquote, it is. So I'm like, it's like I don't know. I find it kind of annoys me, and I think that it's just. I mean, were you gaslighting us for 2 years? I mean, what the hell, WoTC? Seriously. But that's all I'm going to say on that because I don't want to come across like I'm ranting. So, but I am definitely excited for third-party content. I love third-party content. I love homebrew content. So, especially if they're going to partner with some third-party content creators, I'll be interested with
That's a lot of the roadmap. The bottom of it, like when y'all see the picture in the video when I edit it, but a lot of the bottom row of it is third party and like partnered content, and they only have half of it done, and it's already like 3 times as much content as the official channels are. So
yeah, I'm pretty excited about the maps VTT getting expanded. I've heard a lot of good things about maps. I've watched they're recently on the Ghostfire Gaming podcast. There was they talked about it, and they had a couple of the creators from the WoTC side of things that were talking about the maps VTT resource. It sounds good to me. I'll probably wind up checking it out, especially if my Flagon game winds up going online for a while. But yeah, Roll20 to me is just not intuitive, and it feels dated and it feels old. So something new and fresh would be fun.
competition
The
is
landing page
always
is
good.
really neat. The landing page for D&D Beyond is really cool. If you guys haven't seen it, you need to check it out. Maybe Steven can drop a picture of it right in here somewhere.
Sure.
Yep. And then, hey, give them a shot, give them a chance. Just,
I mean, for nothing, I
Hold
subscribe to D&D Beyond right now. I have throughout this entire podcast because, I mean, again, they are the best source of if you're looking for something D&D related, you will find it there.
yeah.
And I subscribe so I don't hit as many paywalls. There's still paywalls, but I don't hit as many. If you're on here as a free player, you can kind of get bullied into buying stuff here and there. But D&D Beyond is a great resource. I use it every time we play. I have my character stuff on here. I have a lot of the books on here. So, for what it's worth, they did a really good job with that.
It makes it easy, especially if you have to travel to have
Oh
that
yeah,
resource.
yeah. I mean, dude, you could literally have every book ever written on a freaking iPad now. Like we're living in Star Trek. Like
Yeah, basically. So let's talk about some Kickstarter and Backerkit news. Steven, you wanted to talk about one that piqued your interest, and I looked into it, and I'm kind of piqued myself.
Sure.
Why don't you talk to us about Napoleonica?
Napoleonica Steel and Magic. So my dad and I both, I think it's safe to say we're history nerds. We have been history nerds pretty much my whole life. I love history and mainly, the history of warfare and combat has always been kind of what I've found the most interesting. And this game it's where it caught my eyes because it's kind of like a Trench Crusade like esque game because it is an alternate history game where I think it's like 1750, 1760 during the Napoleonic Wars, a rift opens to like a chaos dimension called the Abyss. So there's all these demons and stuff coming through this portal, and the armies of man are kind of now banding together. While they were fighting, now they're kind of like have a common enemy that is infinitely stronger than them. And you got to remember, they only have muskets, a lot of which are smoothbore muskets, so they're not very accurate, and artillery, and like you have to kind of use your strategy to just be more cunning against these just overwhelming force of like these demonic hordes that are coming onto the battlefield. Just to give you a quick rundown. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I found it super interesting that it's in a board game format.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and which is kind of neat to me. I think it's a great launch point to get interest and see if it develops from there.
Yeah, it is a hex-based tactical miniature war game. Think Warhammer style games. It blends Napoleonic warfare with dark fantasy elements, obviously. Some keynotes that I wrote down off of their Kickstarter. There's a fatigue system, which seems like that could be one of the major human downfalls, is that they can't have infinite moving, infinite everything. They're going to get outran by these demons eventually. there's going to be a reinforcement and a command tablet mechanic. So maybe like you have a commander
Nice.
that can give your armies certain bonuses and advantages, kind of like 40k Heroes and Legends.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there's maneuver cards where every different faction will have like a deck system where they can use certain maneuvers, kind of like power ups and stuff, which I think is pretty cool. I'll drop some miniature art here, but I think it looks really interesting. Like I said, if you saw our video about Trench Crusade, this kind of seems a lot like that, but in a Napoleonic setting, which is terrifying. Because in Trench Crusade, you
Yeah.
have mechs and tanks and everything. In this, you have man cavalry and
And
muskets.
muskets.
Yeah,
Muskets and cavalry.
so I imagine if I had to guess, in being what they call like the defense of Earth, or like the actual faction forces of
Right.
Earth against the legions of the Abyss. I have to imagine that the forces of Earth infantry is probably pretty cheap in the point system, and maybe the
Yeah.
demons are kind of expensive because if you're a guy with a musket or like a halberd and you got like these hulking like mammoth demons coming at you, it's like
Yeah.
okay, like I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm gonna do
Yeah.
against it.
I'll hold him off with my
Um,
pike.
but apparent what last thing I want to say, there is normal PvP tournament scenario style like 40k and fantasy Warhammer, but there's also apparently a solo mode.
Hmm.
That game mode, you have like a commander and you're playing the commander and kind of maneuvering armies around. There's ways to do it by yourself. I think
Huh.
that's interesting. So I think
That
we've
is-
we've talked many times on this podcast about maybe some people are put off by going head to head against other people, especially if they're new.
Right.
So if you give them a
Right.
way to kind of run like dry runs alone, that might win some people over. This
I
has
think so.
already won, or it's gotten past its pledge goal. Its pledge goal was
Yeah.
20k. It's already at 30k, and it's got 10 days
Yeah.
to go. So I think it's
I
super
think it's pretty
interesting.
awesome.
I think people should check it out. I will throw the link and images in here.
Nice. So one that caught my eye was Mutants and Masterminds fourth edition is out on Kickstarter, and it is already 500% overfunded. So
Wow.
um, I like the looks of it. The art on the cover caught my eye. It kind of throws me back to the late '80s, early '90s when we were playing Marvel superheroes from TSR, the old box sets. I love those games. So Mutants and Masterminds looks really great. I'm probably going to wind up. I don't know if I'll support it on Kickstarter or not. I may wind up going in and purchasing it after the fact, or maybe just going in at the PDF level because it does look like something that would be interesting. And for me and for some of the people at my table, it might be kind of a palate cleanser. Hey, let's take a break from D&D. Let's do something different.
Mhm.
So this will give us a different option. So that might be fun. So
Yeah.
we'll have that link in the show notes for you guys as well.
Yeah. The
Um,
um the hero handbook is 300 pages, which is pretty good for the price that
yeah,
they're asking.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
is a D20 system game. If you're familiar with kind of how those games work, that's what it is.
yeah.
And they're saying that this new edition will have a streamlined character creation, new reactions, which I guess the third edition didn't have like a reaction mechanic in combat like D&D has.
Right.
And then they're talking about hero points and extra effort. These mechanics remain central, allowing players to push their characters beyond their normal limits and perform heroic feats, which is pretty cool. So,
Yeah, they had something pretty similar to that. I don't remember exactly what it was called in Marvel superheroes, but you had like renown or something like that. It was like
mm,
karma or something like that. But like the more you won and the more you did, and you were in the public eye, you would have these points that you could use to push yourself past exhaustion or to create like a super heroic feat. Like you could go past your strength or deal extra damage or absorb extra damage, so
mm,
that you could kind of pull off those typical Marvel superhero
yeah,
things
yeah.
that you're like, hey, that guy can't do that, but all of a sudden he does.
It's kind of like
Um,
their version of the inspiration points from a 5e. It's
yeah,
like, oh, it's
yeah,
last ditch effort. Let me try to get another roll here.
yeah. I like it. Let's talk about some movies and some pop culture news. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie trailer dropped on YouTube. It's going to be in theaters on May 22nd. Um, I'll be honest, I'm a big Mandalorian fan. I love the series. I hated to see the fact that Disney pulled it. I understand why. They went to the big screen. I was thinking this is going to be amazing, and I watched the video. I watched the official trailer 3 times on YouTube, and I'm really not super wowed.
Hmm.
I'm sure I'm going to catch some hate and discontent over it, but I'm not wowed. To me, it looked like pretty much the same special effects and stuff that you get in the television series,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't really tell me much. There were some action scenes, there were some kind of comedy scenes, especially with Grogu. But I'm like, okay, will I see it in theaters? No, I'll probably wait for it on streaming. So not super well. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, Steve.
I saw. So we talked about it earlier, and I kind of watched it between then and now. It's okay. I would say probably the same thing. It looks all right. If you told me
Yeah,
that they renewed the show and this was the trailer for the new season, I would believe you. That's kind of how
yeah,
I took it. And if you're going to the big
yeah,
screen, I got to pay $30 for one viewing of this movie. I need to be more wowed than a show trailer.
yeah.
Um,
Maybe it's just a bad trailer because they put it
yeah, I
together
mean, dude,
quickly.
I've
I
seen
mean,
movies before the trailer was.
if you're in theaters in 2 months, that
Yeah,
should be your final trailer. Quite honestly,
yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
I agree.
you're done.
Yeah, I've seen
You're
I've seen
done.
movies before that had awful trailers and the movie was great. So like, you
Oh,
never know. But
I'm
I'm
hoping
not.
that's the case here.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, because I like the story so far, and I think that Star Wars really needs a win. I mean,
They really do.
Getting Filoni into the pilot seat was a good step. I don't know how much he had to do with this movie or not.
Yeah, 'cause I think
So
wasn't this already in development when he came on
oh, for
board? I think it
sure,
was
for
almost
sure,
done.
for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
it was
it's
almost
probably
done by the time he got there.
yeah.
So
So I don't really know how much he had to do with it. I hope it's good because I really want them to start winning again. It feels like forever since every time a
yeah,
Star Wars anything came out, people were all over it. I mean, it's been since I was in school probably. I mean, it's been a long
yeah,
time.
it's been a minute. So, but Critical Role announced in obviously working with Amazon that Vox Machina season 4 is coming out. That will be hitting streaming on June 3rd.
Hmm.
I am looking forward to that. I followed the series when they did the live cast of the show. Um, I've liked the cartoon so far. I think it's
It's
great.
incredible.
I think it's incredible. I think it's doing a lot for the community and for the D&D brand as a whole. And I think the fact that they're finally going to work Vecna in, they're going to get into that part of the storyline.
Hmm.
We're past we're past the dragons, and now we're going to start focusing on Vecna. And I think that's awesome. Vecna's a big name character, and after the kind of letdown that we all got with the most recent editions of WoTC's Vecna campaign with the ruin of Vecna, I think this may be something that kind of revitalizes and renews interest in Vecna in the community. So I'm
I
definitely looking
Yeah, I mean,
forward
I
to it.
think Stranger Things can't be the only thing that carries that character's name. They got to do something else. He is easily, if you think D&D right now, I think the casual fan is Vecna is the big bad of D&D. That's just the casual perspective. So I
Yeah.
think the more, okay, I saw Stranger Things and I liked it. What other things are there with Vecna? If you show him, I'll be honest, Critical Role outside of Honor Among Thieves, I think is the best. Stranger Things, Honor Among Thieves, and Critical Role are the three like best community serving D&D content that there's been in my lifetime. Like everyone sees them,
I would
everyone likes them. So it's like
I would agree.
they need to nail it and get people interested in Vecna again and get more people at the table trying to have their own Vecna adventures. And I'll tell you what, like the tabletop isn't doing them justice right now. So like the shows and the movies got to carry them and they got to bring people in. So I
I
hope
agree.
they do great. And
I
like
agree.
if you were to tell me another show was going to come out, like, oh, D&D is going to do a Vecna movie, like an animated movie, I'd be like, oh boy.
I'd be
Like,
on board. I'd be on
yeah, I
board.
mean,
I mean,
Critical Role is just, it's been so good.
Vecna has been around since like first edition. If you go
Yeah,
back
yeah,
and
yeah.
look at the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide, there's two artifacts in there: the Eye of Vecna, Hand of Vecna. And
Hmm.
everyone's like, "Who the hell is Vecna?"
Yeah.
Then they kind of fleshed him out in Greyhawk, and he's just kind of grown from there. And he's always kind of been that BBEG that's lurking behind the curtain that players don't want to run into.
Yeah.
And you will see why if you watch Critical Role season 4 of Vox
Hmm.
Machina. He's a badass.
Well, yeah, I
So
mean, I've always seen
uh,
him as like Emperor Palpatine of D&D, right? Like even if he's not directly involved with what's going on, he's usually
he's always
indirectly
behind the
involved.
scenes.
And like again, I think Vox Machina has done no wrong. Their shows have been incredible, and I
Yeah,
think it's just scary and just adult themed enough that I think he can be truly scary. That's the
yeah.
one thing, Stranger Things. At the end of the day, it's like it's on Netflix. It's not R rated. It can't like he can't be murdering people and killing people and all this stuff.
Yeah.
They
Right.
got kind of close in that show, but I think in Vox Machina, if they do him right, he's actually going to be scary. So that's going to be cool.
He's gonna be scary, and he should be scary. I mean, he is a scary dude if you think about it. So,
Yeah.
you wanted to talk about Resident Evil 9, Steve.
Yeah,
Requiem.
so Requiem is out. If you're into video games or horror in general, It is an absolutely terrifying game. I've always loved Resident Evil Biohazard. That's the game where you went to like the bayou and that family was infected and it was kind of like that backwater.
Yeah.
That game was what shifted Resident Evil from like an action shooter into like cinematic horror.
Yeah.
Biohazard was absolutely terrifying. Resident Evil Village was terrifying. And now we're getting into Requiem, which brings Leon Kennedy back. And this game it continues the trend of having a kind of like a antagonist monster follow you around a semi-open world. And just if you, I'll probably include. I don't even know if it might be too graphic for YouTube. Well, it probably isn't. But there's videos of people like quitting the game because you're walking around this building and this giant like woman monster amalgam thing is following you around, and she can creep on the ceiling, she can come out of the ceiling, she's all over the place, and she's like 10 feet tall. She's huge, and the only safety inside of the building is light. She gets burned by any form of light. But of course, there's zones of
It's a little flow light.
yeah, and there's not much, so it's like you're having to kind of wait her out and kind of bait her over here so that you can run back, and she is utterly terrifying. And if you know anything about like Village, when you had like the giant grotesque baby monster chase you through the apartment complex and stuff, this falls into line with that, and like having Mr. X and having like Lady Dimitrescu from Village follow you around the whole time. It's like this ever looming threat that even when you're in the safe room, you can hear them walking around. You never feel safe.
Yeah.
And that shift in Resident Evil has been great. And I think this game it's now officially the highest rated game of all time, beating Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which in my opinion, that game is great. So that game and Baldur's Gate are up there, but this game has edged them out. I think it deserves it. I don't know if it's going to be there forever. But I think, just to have horror, I love horror. And for those of you that don't know, Dad and I like soft participate in another content community that does horror themed stuff too. So I cover a lot of that over there. I'm a huge horror nerd, just like Dad is. So to have a video game that's not Fortnite be the highest rated game for just a little bit, and it's a horror game, and it's not made for 12-year-olds. It's very cool. Right. It makes an old horror boomer like me like, wow, there's still real people out there that aren't on TikTok. You know what I mean? So very cool. That game definitely deserves it. I did want to throw a quick note in here, unrelated. Tomorrow is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Magic release. And we've talked about Magic, we've talked about Wizards. I'm not going to be negative about it. I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I'm gonna go get some packs tomorrow. My local game store is already warning me, like, hey, dude, you want to get here early? There's already been people calling about it, so I'm gonna try to get some. And if I get some tomorrow, I will have shorts on our YouTube channel of me ripping packs first thing. As soon as I get back to my office, I'll rip some and I'll put them up. So just want to drop that in here in this section.
I sent you that one link for YouTube where the guy was talking about it, and he said some of the cards are just master broken. They're just
there's on TCG Player right now. There's a Michelangelo card that seems like if it's played, I'm sure it'll be banned in standard and all that. But just the things that it can do are incredibly strong, and the artwork is like old pixel art. And I think it's already, somebody has a pre-release version of it for like $480 on TCG Player already. The cards I really, what's funny is the cards I really, really want aren't even the really expensive ones. There are black and white turtle cards. There's one for like each turtle.
Original comics.
Yeah, and they're in the decks, but also somewhat rarer, more rare. They have signed versions of them.
Ooh,
and they're the black and white original art turtles, and they have one for each turtle. And I'd love to have any of those. But I mean, of course, there's some cool other cards. I'm a huge Casey Jones fan. I love Casey's character. So I'm excited. I wish I could afford the collector's boxes or big pizza boxes. If you haven't seen them, I'll put a picture in here. It is, in my opinion, like the coolest collectible Magic box I've ever seen.
It really is cool.
And the land cards are all different flavors of pizza, which is awesome. So I'm excited. I know, like I'm the problem or whatever, that Magic people are going to be mad at me. That's fine. I'm a casual fan. I admit it. I like to collect cool monsters. I collected Lorwyn just so I could get some Justin Gerard art, which I did get one. And if I ever have the chance, or if I ever have some spare change laying around, I'm gonna ship it to him and have him sign it for me and Dad. I think that'd be cool.
Speaking of Justin Gerard art, real quick, I picked up a painting from him at Dragon Con on canvas called The Dungeon of Death. I dropped that off a couple weeks ago to have it stretched in frames so it can go next to my Beholder print.
Mm-hmm.
I am picking that up tomorrow, so I will have a short posted up for you guys to look at it. It's pretty awesome.
Well, another shout out for him. I also I'm also ordering. He did some Lord of the Rings art,
Yep.
which I guess I was unaware of until I saw some of it on his website. Gallery Gerard.
Yeah.
We've shouted out 1,000 times. His
Yeah.
art is just like, in my opinion, it's peak. If you like fantasy art, he is the best fantasy artist that I've seen.
I know what the Apprentice is going to say.
Yeah.
He is dying to get his hands on this Luthien and Baron one.
So
we're going to put a picture of it right here.
I'll put it here, and I got the Morgoth one, the Morgoth print.
Nice.
They are just the coolest. I mean, his style is very like
amazing.
It's just very him as well. Like I haven't when you showed me that what really got me on him was your Beholder print.
Right.
That was before we started this podcast. You were like, look at this
That
cool
was 2
art.
years ago.
I mean, that was like kind of in the inception of us doing this. And I saw that and was like, man, that's like very distinct. Like it's just got its own style to it. And his wife has her own style too. Like his wife is really great.
Yeah.
So anyways,
she does a lot of like animal art, but
like nature related. I didn't realize this, but my favorite Magic set in recent memory is Bloomborough because it reminded me a lot of Redwall, the Redwall books. Yep. They did art for Bloomborough too. It's on their website, which I didn't know.
That's awesome. I did not know that.
So
cool.
anyway, we've shouted them out a lot, and if you haven't checked them out by now, like you're really missing out. I think you need to check if you're into Lord of the Rings or D&D or fantasy in general. I mean,
Redwall,
they have everything.
Like
everything.
He's got a lot of stuff on his website that will appeal to a lot.
His calendars that he does are really cool. But yeah, check them out for sure.
Check them out for sure. So let's get into some extra loot.
Yep.
So I wanted to talk about old school versus new school TTRPGs. I'm a fan of both.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get to play the old school as much as I'd like to because most of the people I play with are younger people, mid 30s, early 40s, and younger. And it's hard to get them to go back to things like second edition or 1st edition or even Shadow Dark, which kind of I think perfectly blends 5e and old school first edition AD&D. Because they say it feels too dangerous. There's no training wheels. It's too easy to die. Which to me is what made old school TTRPGs feel more realistic and more like you had more stake in the game, right? You didn't make stupid decisions. You didn't charge blindly into things. You used your 10-foot pole to check for traps. I think both of them have their niche. I think both of them have their place. I just wish more people would give old school TTRPGs a try. So.
Yeah, I agree. You do a good job at running our 5e game that I don't feel like the whole shtick with 5e is that players are like super powered and like, basically it's impossible to die. I'll be honest, we almost died last weekend, and it was just a tough fight.
It was looking hairy.
Yeah, it was a tough fight, and we had to pull out all the stops. I had to use all my gear. I had to try all different things to try to get us out, and we did well. And but I do think there's something to be said for trying like more traditional and rudimentary systems like a first edition or a Shadow Dark, because it kind of boils down this giant crockpot of stuff we have now to the bare the bare elements that were there.
Right.
And there's something to be said about that. I mean, I think for beginners, maybe you have them play 5e and have them play the newer stuff because there's a lot of quality of life there. But at the same time, like when people get a little bit more well versed into the world, into the game, and they want to kind of either challenge themselves or see something new, it might be really cool to go back and try some of that older stuff. And I think like a very easy parallel to draw here is in gaming. World of Warcraft is out. It's been out for 25 years, and there's like 1 billion expansions, and the game is so complex and bloated now that like if you haven't been playing it forever, it's kind of hard to get into the new game. But you can go back and play Classic WoW, which is the original game, the original format. And people go, well, why would I do that when this game has all this new and fancy and shiny stuff? Well, that's fine. If you want to play the new game, you can. But there is something to be said for going back and playing a simpler and more refined experience. So, again, it's not for everybody, but I think it's for people out there that haven't tried it.
Yep. And I'd like to wrap up tonight with going on record again as saying I'd like for people to consider supporting your local game shop. I know sometimes they can be cheaper than, say, an Amazon or an online resource, but without those brick and mortar stores, I think we're losing a valuable resource for the community.
100%.
I would challenge those of you who have the capability or the wherewithal to go to your local game store, talk to the owner, talk to the manager, talk to whoever's in charge of like setting up gaming events and things like that, and work with them to set up like maybe 1 or 2 weekends a month where you go in there, you book a table for the afternoon or what have you, and you bring a couple of different TTRPGs or box games or role playing games or even card games, and you sit down and you just try to draw some interest.
Yeah.
Have a couple friends show up, have a spot or two at your table if somebody wants to jump in and kind of let them try it out. Test drive it and see if they
Mm-hmm.
like it or not. I think we're really missing out on an opportunity if we're not doing that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I would challenge each of you to do that.
I'll
I would also
Oh, go ahead.
I would
Sorry.
also say to work together. I like working with some of the other content creators within the space to try to generate interest for new people in the community, and I
Mm-hmm.
like trying to reach out to new people. I get a lot of people that follow me that when I look at their profiles aren't necessarily TTRPG people. They're just into fantasy or sci-fi, and so I'll engage those people and try to get them interested or at least have them take a look.
Mm-hmm.
And if they ask me questions about games, I will take the time to stop and answer them because that interest, capitalizing on that interest, is what's going to keep our community alive and help us
Mm-hmm.
grow into the next generation.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a hobby that is, by just design, it is not as easy as sitting on your phone looking at TikTok or
Mm.
going home alone and sitting there, watching your favorite TV show for the 400th time. I mean, this hobby requires you to meet new people, usually, to get
Mhm.
out, go outside of your comfort zone, and do something that just isn't kind of in your wheelhouse, unless you've been doing it for a
Right.
while. So keep that in mind. It might be comfortable for us or for me because my dad is my DM and my friends are the ones that are playing with me. But just try to remember that there's other people out there that they would take up that opportunity if they had it and they don't. So maybe you can be that opportunity for them. And
Yeah.
one last thing I want to say, shout out to my local game store, Tap and Roll. I wanted to give a quick little
Mhm.
shout out to them because when I was in there, I guess a couple weeks ago, and like that said, it's cheaper to get it on Amazon, but I'd rather go and support, guys that literally are working in the same community I am. Um,
Right.
I went in there to get some. I think I got some Lorwyn cards, and there were some kids in front of me, like three or four young kids, probably like 10 or 11 or something. And the new Pokemon set came out, which I don't know anything about any of the new Pokemon. My Pokemon knowledge is when I was a kid, me and my dad were around for the first generation.
Right.
And they're in there. There's a new set out. Everyone's free. They're so excited. They're like taking pictures on their phone. Their mom probably dropped them off. And they're losing their mind. And the last kid gets to the cashier right in front of me. I'm right behind him, and he buys one of the last two booster packs because it's a brand new
Mhm.
set. The guy's like, "Hey man, I'm sorry. They only sent us like this many, so we're trying to only sell one per customer so that everybody gets a chance to get the new set." And the kid's like, "Oh, that's okay." Like, and you could tell he's kind of put out, but he still got his booster pack, and he ran over to his buddies. And I bought two Lorwyn packs, and I said, "You know what, dude? Let me buy that pack for him." And like, can you just don't tell him it was me? I want you to walk it over there to him. And the guy at the counter is like, "Dude, that's like badass that you would do that." So he's like, "You know what?
Yeah.
It's on the house," and he just let the
Yeah.
kid have it. And
That's
that
awesome.
that nails
That's awesome.
home like you can buy it on Amazon and you can ship it to your house and never have to talk to anybody. But this game store just lost $8, $9 of commission to make some kid's day when he walks that pack over right after you just said, "I'm sorry, buddy, everybody's
Yeah.
got to get one." Well, I'm the last one in line, and I'm like, "Hey, I'll buy it," and you give it to him. He's like, "Hey, man, that's really cool. I'm just gonna give it to him because the spirit, like that's the spirit of what we're doing." And I
That's
just
and
that's props to them.
I post shorts and things on my Instagram channel all the time where
Mm.
I will simply say more of this,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's normally links of people playing with young kids.
yep,
And the one I posted today is of a guy who's been playing D&D for a while, and his 3-year-old child. He's teaching his 3-year-old child to play,
yep.
and he's got like a simple map out, and she's got her little character, and
Hmm.
he's got a little treasure chest set in there, and she's like, "Ooh, is that a treasure chest?" And she walks over, and he goes, "Yeah," but as you go to open it, suddenly eyes open up on it, and
Hmm.
it opens up, and it's got a mouth, and it's got teeth, and it's got a tongue. She's like, "Oh no, it's a monster," but it's not real, right? He goes, "Oh no, it's not real, but it's a monster." And just the excitement in her voice
Yeah,
as he's interacting with her and spinning this story, I'm like, that is what hits me right in the feels,
yeah.
is when you can get kids excited about this and make memories with them. It's not only going to enrich their lives, it's going to enrich yours.
Well, I
So,
mean, I think those
for
moments
Stephen to
are,
offer to buy that, awesome. For the game shop owner to say, "Hey, I'll take the hit. I'm going to pay for it. I'll
yeah.
take it over and give it to the kid." That's
I
super
mean, he
awesome.
like
And you made
saw,
that kid's day.
yeah. I mean, he saw like, oh, like this guy understands the point, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
just go ahead and do it. And it's
Yeah.
like, we all get kind of tied up. Like he's working a 9 to 5 just like everybody else. But I mean, hey, he gets to work at a game shop. That's pretty cool. But like,
That's pretty
he's
cool.
just at work. And he's kind of in the, everybody's just boom, like one customer after another. He's kind of in his own zone. And I like to think maybe, he feels the same way I do. But he's been doing this all day, and I'm like the person that kind of woke him up and was like, "Hey, dude, like remember, these guys are. This is like this kid is going to be the guy that runs this register in 10 years. Like, let's try to."
Yeah.
And like that kid's gonna like, dude, imagine you're a kid, and you're so excited about your buddies and you getting a Pokemon set, and then the freaking game store guy walks over and goes, "Hey, buddy, here you go." Hands you a freaking. I mean,
Last pack,
he will
yeah.
remember that forever, like
He'll
forever.
remember that forever, and him and his friends will come back to that store again and again.
Yeah, and Amazon is
They'll
never going to
tell
do
their
that for
friends
you.
about it.
These big box Walmart's never going to do that for you. Amazon's never going to do that for you. And look, if that's the best way that you can get it, if that's the only way you can afford it, I'm not crapping on you. But if you have the extra time, if you have the extra money, support people like you and like us that are going to these game shops that are just doing it for the love of the game. That is the point.
That's the whole point. So we will leave you guys with that thought. And we want to thank you all for joining us. For those of you who stuck it out for the whole video, we appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate our 53 subscribers. We appreciate those who view and like and interact with us here online.
Yep.
I would challenge more of you to do so. Give it a watch, give it a share, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already done so, share with friends, family, share on your socials if you would.
Like full disclosure, we'd rather you share this video than subscribe. You know what I mean? Like if it's like if you're like, I have too many subscriptions, I don't want to have to scroll through them all, dude. I got a lot too, and half of them I don't even know what they are. You know what I mean? But like if you could share this video to somebody, they'll share it to somebody, and like somebody might learn something. I mean, again, these stories that kind of get you in the feels. I mean, that's what we're here for. Like. Yeah. We're doing this whether we make $1 million or no dollars. We don't care. We've been doing this my whole life anyway. So just get the word out and just try to help each other out and make this hobby something that we can share for our entire lives,
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So thank you for sticking around with us. Thank you for hanging out. We hope you'll join us for the next podcast, which will be MazeCast episode number 22. Wow. We'll have some more updates for you guys and some more cool news and stuff to talk about.
Yep.
But thank you for tuning in. Have a great night. Stay safe out there. Make this community a little bit better for those other than yourselves and for those that come behind us. And keep your sword arm free.
Later on, everybody.